Hey, what's up everybody? In this video tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to create a donut using Onshape. So the donut itself is actually just a solid primitive. It's a classic. It's called Torus. That's actually what the name of that really is. We're going to be creating that using Revolve. So the first part of this, I'm just going to show you how to make a simple donut. And the second part, if you want to hang in there, I'm going to show you how to actually go out and put icing on the donut. All right, it's actually going to be using something called Revolve Cut, and it's going to be sloped in perfect to the actual contour of the donut, and we can add some color to it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to first come out, create a new document, and I'm just going to simply call this donut. And once this gets going, we're going to go ahead and create a sketch. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick on the front plane and then look at this with the view cube. So I'm going to draw my circle first. I'm going to track this off of the center. I'm just hovering over the origin and just pulling out, and you can see it's tracking. And I'm going to go ahead and just give this a diameter. And I was measuring this up with my dial caliper. It looked like it was about 1.5 inches for the diameter. Okay, so now I'm going to dimension the center of my donut, okay, to the origin. And I want that to be a distance of 1.125. All right, so that's there. Now I'm going to draw a line starting from the origin. I'm going to bring this straight up. Okay, and now we're going to be using that line, okay, as my revolve axis when I'm revolving the profile, which is the circle. So I'm going to go ahead and green check this, take a look at this in the isometric view. Let's go into revolve, and this is going to be my profile. I'm going to pick the red box for revolve axis. I'm going to pick that, and that's just going to swing that around. All right, so this is just a simple donut. I mean, you can easily stop here, but what I want to do is actually add some icing to this. I'm going to kind of customize this. All right, so what we're going to have to do first is I'm going to create an extrusion that's going to shoot down, and it's going to hit the top of our donut. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to create a new plane. All right, so one of the really cool options with plane is we can offset that from an existing plane. So I'm going to come in here and just pick on my top plane, and now we can see that that work plane is just hovering right here above it. We can see the name of that as plane 1. So looking at this from the front view, I can see that that plane is above the donut. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm going to go ahead and just green check it. All right, now I'm going to look at this in the isometric view. All right, so now what I'm going to do is come out and create a sketch, but not on the top plane, on the plane 1, the one I just created. I'm going to create this new sketch. So using spline, I'm going to come around to the outside here, and I'm just going to go ahead and make this sort of wavy pattern, right? Because if you think icing going on the donut, it's not going to be a perfect circle. So I'm going to go ahead and use this irregular curve that we find within spline, okay, to create the outside of our icing. Okay, so since we have an outside, we also need an inside. So using spline once again, I'm going to come right here towards the center and make this sort of irregular looking shape for the icing that's going to go on top. So I brought that around. I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch. I'm going to look at this in the isometric view. So we have our sketch, and it's hanging right above the actual donut. Now what I'm going to do is use extrude, pick the inside of these two closed loops, okay, and that's going to be the profile that I'm going to extrude. And instead of this coming up, which makes no sense, I'm going to go ahead and flip this to send it down. And instead of coming up with a distance, what I can do is come here and pick on up to face. So I'm going to pick on up to face. Now it's asking me to come out and actually pick on a face. So I'm going to pick the face of the donut. And now we can see how that icing goes down to the donut. I'm going to go ahead and green check it. All right, so this is a little bit awkward and weird looking at first. There's a lot more we can do with this. But right now, we're just wanting that extrusion there so we can work with it here in just a second. All right, so taking a look here, I can see that my right work plane is going right through the center of the donut. So that's going to set us up pretty well for what we're wanting to do next. I'm going to create a sketch on that right work plane, look at the right face with the view cube. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something called use geometry. Okay, and now what I can do is come to the outside edge of our donut, and now that's going to show us where the center points are, okay, for the actual circle that makes up our torus or our donut. So I'm going to draw a circle starting from the center point, and I'm just going to bring this out just beyond this arc. Remember, we're not talking about that much icing. Okay, we're just going to bring that to the outside of it. And now what I'm going to do is draw a line from this quadrant of this circle, keep this and just go straight up with it. I'm going to go ahead and send this straight across, and now I'm going to draw a line from this quadrant of this circle and bring that straight up. Okay, so I have a profile to use, but this is kind of, just needs some cleaning up, so I can use trim. And I'm going to trim off this little tail and this tail, and I'm also going to be trimming out the bottom portion of this circle. This is the profile I'm looking to use. Okay, I'm going to need an axis to revolve this. So starting from the origin, I'm going to draw a line straight up. And now I can go ahead and finish the sketch, and I can look at this in an isometric view. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is come back into revolve. I'm going to find that profile I just created, pick on the red box for my revolve axis, and pick on the actual line. So this is going to bring this around with the revolve, but right now it's acting as an add. What I want to do is come in and act as a remove. Okay, once it is removed, we can green check it. And now I'm going to come over here and just start turning off some work planes just so we can see our object a little bit better. And now you can see how that icing has been applied to the top of it. All right, it actually goes with the contour of the donut. Okay, so if you kind of think about icing, it's not going to have like a rigid corner to it. So let's just go ahead and add in a fillet. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick on this edge right here. Right now my radius is 0.12. Let's just green check it to see if it works. Okay, and it does. All right, it just slopes that over. Okay, it rounds that over. Okay, just like icing actually would. And it looks like I almost forgot to add our second fillet. So let's just jump in here and put in another fillet. I'm going to come on to the inside here, add that fillet of 0.12 to it. All right, and that's going to round that over. All right, so we're at the point now where now we can go ahead and make this look a little bit more realistic. All right, so in order to do that, I'm going to come over to my color appearance. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and pick on this blue box. Okay, and if you think about it, like a donut color is actually going to be like a lighter brown probably. Okay, something like this. I'm going to go ahead and green check it. But now I want to do a face appearance. So if I were taking my daughters to the donut store, they'd be definitely picking out the one with the pink frosting, right? So let's do that. Okay, I'm going to add my face appearance to it. I'm going to go into my mixer and I'm going to just be taking this down and finding my pink colors. Looks like that's looking pretty pink. I'm just going to pick on the swatch where I'd like to use that. And now I can go ahead and start picking those faces. Okay, and applying that to all the faces around this and actually make sure that all those surfaces have been treated with that color. Looks like we even have a small one here and here. Okay, and just go around the entire thing. Make sure this thing is totally coated with that pink frosting. Let's green check it, jump out of our appearance. Okay, and there you go. We have ourselves a donut with pink frosting. Colors, everything is there. All right, and that's how you create a donut, okay, in Onshape.